everyone, welcome back to another episode of Reliability Boombox, where we talk all things reliability engineering, maintenance engineering, health, safety, wellness, whatever, anything that we can do some problem solving or machine learning in. So, welcome back again, Seven. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Yes, nice to see you too there, Dane.
Thank
Looking
you.
well.
Thank you. Enjoying sunny Queensland at the moment, so it's nice and warm here. Which,
Awesome.
for those in Australia, it's starting to get cooler. It's winter's coming, but I'm enjoying warmth, which is great.
Yeah.
So, I thought just quickly to get started. Before the show started, we were just talking. Oh, what are we going to talk about tonight? It's like, not really sure. As usual, we like to run these fireside chats just by the seat of our pants, casual. That the last couple of weeks, we've done a little bit of a review of the what, whys, whens, and who with RCAs and RCA problem solving and with machine learning in sense. I feel like the last week, actually, we also talked a little bit about a case study. We talked about some case studies of them.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about what a good RCA looks like and what a good result from machining learning sort of look like. Now, I'd like to divert from those two topics for a minute and sort of talk about a few other things in the reliability world space, or maybe we should call it sustainability in the workplace.
Okay, sustainability. Yeah.
Pondering what this podcast is about and the broader audience of things, I like to keep things a little bit broader, a little bit more open, and sort of tie in how it works across a broader scope. We've already talked that it's not just about maintenance and engineering and reliability, but it's about production, it's about services, it can be even about health. You know, the health industry and so forth can benefit from RCAs. So I believe that both these sort of products or these tools that we mainly are talking about can benefit a number of different industries, apart from just the heavy industries. And we've touched on a few of those things along the way. I guess I want to understand, or want to hear what your views are, in particular with the problem solving. What other industries you've noted have benefited from a solid framework in problem solving, and maybe that you've experienced or worked with?
Yeah, right. Okay, interesting. Obviously, I'm a reliability engineer, and I, deal a lot with heavy industry. So this is an out of the box question there, Dave. This is challenging. Yeah, I know. I'll have to draw a picture now. This is out of the box, right out. Okay. So what sort of industries would benefit from this from a sustainability point of view? And the first thought that comes to my mind is anyone with a problem would be my first response. Now, if you've got just levering off the sustainability concept.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw it out as a question. Okay. Are you maximizing your sustainability of your business, of what you do, no matter what it is if you keep on suffering the same problem, as in the same problems keep recurring?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say no. Say no, especially like, people get caught up in the business case, the dollars. It's all about the dollars, right? But the dollars are caused by something. The dollars are an outcome.
Yep.
Profit is an outcome of something. Yep. So something of value has broken.
Yes.
Okay. Right. For me, typically it's a machine. Okay. Yes. So we use that machine to produce something. Okay. Now, from a sustainability environmental point of view, a lot of machines are lubricated by some sort of hydrocarbon. Okay. And if the machine breaks or something bad happens or somebody makes a mistake, those hydrocarbons can be released into the environment. Okay. Then, obviously there's people start talking about the costs and stuff like that of cleaning up. But wouldn't be great if we didn't have that event happen in the first place. Or if it did happen, don't let it happen again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So levering off that, anyone that is exposed to any sort of environmental protection agency, the EPA or some sort of environmental organization or regulator, better words, got the word, out of the box, you're having issues with the regulator. Why? It's a problem. Well, okay. How about we solve that? Let's have a look at it with a structured problem-solving problem to have a look at the causes of that. Why is that occurring? You could, plant, people, or process essentially could be causing that. Talking brief. So again, there's levering on that sustainability thing. Again, from a fuel consumption point of view, carbon.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff, especially here in Australia, I would argue that we are, I think it's pretty well documented that most of our energy comes from non-renewable resources at this point in time, and it's changing. Some would argue not as quickly as we'd like, but having worked with some of those non-renewable power generating pieces of equipment, when the thing stops, it takes quite a significant amount of extra energy to get the thing going again. And
if I can just chime in there for a second, Seven, and just to sort of lever off where maybe you're going, but what has come to my mind on that, we are driven by fossil fuels. Let's be direct. It's
Australia.
It's Australia. We've been really doing it for decades. We're really good at it, and it's really efficient.
There's also it's efficient, but it's where we are. It's where we are.
It's where we're at, right? It is where we're at. If you want to look at it, so let's look at that as a problem directly. So say I'm in Queensland right now. Say Queensland go, hang on, this is a problem. We burn too much coal. This is our problem. Now we need to solve that problem and find out a way to use more renewable energies and burn less coal and create less emissions. You could actually use that framework.
Well, ask why. Just do a 5 whys. Why are we why are we burning too much coal? Well, because we haven't got any other alternatives. Why? Well, we really haven't looked at it. Or why? We haven't got an electricity grid that can sustain a whole heap of renewables. Well, why? There's not a political appetite. All of those can be addressed.
Right.
And, by just simply, I've just done it there really quickly. It's just I was applying the 5 whys. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Ask why 5 times. It can be as simple as that.
Yeah, it can be as simple as that. And I think that's a really good example of how these tools and these frameworks, like you said, like the 5 whys model, even if you're not using Sologic per se, like you actually went and said, okay, we're just going to do a 5 whys, or you're going to do an ICAM or reality charting or any of the other methods that may work. My key sort of question was like, I guess we talk a lot around reliability boom blocks. We talk at reliability boom blocks. We talk a lot about reliability engineering, maintenance, and the heavy industry. I want to bring it around to maybe a couple of the other people that might be listening that aren't from that field, that aren't from that space, just to help them even think outside the box. Yes. I'm very much a believer that thinking outside the box and allowing other examples to help influence us or help us see maybe a different way. And we've talked about that in facilitating an RCA, it's really great to have people from all different spaces in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's had an individual experience in their life, and that brings value to the table. Okay, and agreed. Like it doesn't have to be super hard. Ask why 5 times.
Yeah.
And just I think also there's a piece there, Dane, around, it's a really simple framework, but the value is in actually doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you sit there and put a little bit of rigor, a little bit of what would you call discipline? That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of discipline around your problem solving, right? And ask and say and force yourself to ask why 5 times, even if your mindset is at that point in time, it's stupid to do so because I know the answer. And if you really dive into a problem, and this is a way of diving into a problem, I think you'll be surprised with the results.
Yeah, and I just thought of another real quick sort of example to bring in case any of the other people, like, we might have some contractors that are a part of a small business that are working in this mining space and go, they get us to do RCAs at work, and that's fine, but for my business it's not useful, it has no reason. But I was thinking, I'm an electrician by trade, I've worked with a bunch of contractors, and say you work for a company, or you are the owner of a small construction company, and you've done 10 jobs in the year. Or 10 big jobs in the year. And all of a sudden you look at it and you look at the books and you go, each of those jobs, we lost margin. We started with 10% profit aimed when we quoted it. We ended with 6. Well, a lot of contractors, and let's be honest, for those that are listening, would go, that's the game. That's the industry. That's the game. You quote high, but you end up there, and that's just how it sort of rolls. But you could actually apply, I know the look on your face, and it's like, why? People do that? Yes,
why?
In the construction industry. Why?
Why? Why does that
Why?
occur?
Exactly.
Why?
And this is exactly my point, because the construction industry and the contracting industry is renowned, and the contracting services industry even is renowned for, like, if you get 5 to 6%, that's good. Just be happy. If you're making 15%, you're almost greedy and you feel bad about it. But if we actually take the time to strip it back, and I remember doing this with one of my previous managers, and have a look at why, ask the 5 whys. Go, okay, we've done the 10 jobs in a year. Let's actually figure out where we go wrong. Is it in the quoting process? Are we missing something? Are the guys taking too long? Are we not allowing enough time to do something? Are the expectations not clearly being expressed to the client? We can start to understand all these things. And I think for a lot of smaller business, it's that we feel like we don't have the times or the tools to do that. And I think simply every now and then, and it could be a business case study, that you actually go, okay, on ourselves, through the year in review, we're going to conduct an RCA on our financial performance.
Why did this occur?
Why did this occur? What worked well, what didn't work well, and that problem solving.
Why are we spending so much money at the pub?
Exactly. That's marketing and business development. It's like, you're
right. Okay. We do come from Australia.
Yes, that's true.
Hey, I'll you can see my screen. I'll just show you on the screen. Like, he's let's call it free consulting. Here's how to do the 5 whys. You get a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you go, you write problem, remedy. Okay. Yep. Problem and remedy. All right. Write down the problem. Okay. So write down the problem here.
Yep.
Why? Answer the what. Sorry, I've just put that in the wrong spot, Dane. Sorry. I'll go back here. So you just ask why. Write down the answer to why that was caused, and you just do it 5 times. Just write it down, and then so you'll end up with cause number 1, whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay. I should write down an example. Do that 5 times, right? So you get down to cause number 5.
Yep.
Okay. Then this is what I like to do, and I learnt this one off Ron Moore. So and I've put it in the 5 habits as well. And write an answer, the remedy for each one of these. So you get remedy 1, remedy 2. So you've got 5 things that you can do to improve.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. This is like, and all I've done is essentially you need a piece of paper and a pen. Okay, yes. You don't have to go high tech like me, an iPad and an Apple Pencil. You can just use a pen paper. Look, I've even got a pen, Dane. Look at that. It's here on the table.
What? Hang on. What? No, that's 7. That's not a normal pen, is it?
No, it's a 4-colored one.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, rat bag. But as simple as that. It's just a piece of paper and you know, write your problem down, and remedy on the other side. A couple of lines, off you go. Not hard.
Yeah. Awesome. And that was just one of those points I sort of wanted to bring to the table. Like, I think we can often get caught up with the new piece of fandangled software, the new app, the new process, the new framework, the new thing that does it. If we're not asking the right questions, if we're not understanding the problem, like we've talked about, and not using some framework or some method to actually analyze, to understand the problem, and then find a remedy, find a solution, then we're kind of just sitting there.
Well, I'm going to take that one step further there, Dane. You may find the solutions, but if you don't do any changes, you've done nothing. All you've done is wasted your time, really. So the important part is not just the remedies that we've found. Is actually getting out there and doing it. It's getting it done. Like doing whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, do the whole lot, or just 3, 4, and 5, or even just one of them out of that list of things. That's the important part to me. The important part to me is getting it done, getting out there, making the change.
Yeah.
And some people, you know, I'm gonna use the word courage. Some people may need a little bit of courage to do that. And you know, if you're ever looking for some inspiration or some courage, give us a yell. That's what we do. Yeah, is give people inspiration and courage to do things. And you know, and I think it's coming down and doing the right things.
Yeah. And that was the sort of direction I wanted to sort of point this. I think you know, like I said, when we began, we can talk to a lot of big clients, we can talk to a lot of big businesses and think, yeah, this is great. Or you could be that contractor that works, you know, for the mining company and go, oh, I do RCAs at work, but I never think about it for myself, or I wouldn't be able to afford to do this. Like I said, maybe you just hire someone, or maybe you're a business coach and consultant and you go, well, hang on, I could actually add this tool to my suite. I can afford it and add it for a service, because you could probably do it. If you could do it for 10 of your clients once a year, you'd probably make your money's worth in it. Yeah. In doing so.
Some people forest for the trees. They're so what would you call involved in the problem. They've felt the pain. Okay, or feeling the pain under some sort of pressure, and may not be able to see a direction forward. They know that they've got to fix it because they've got to make the pain go away. And having you know, we call it a facilitator, somebody that facilitates your way through the process. Okay, you know, this logic process is a 5-step process, right? So you start with step 1 and you work your way through, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
And having someone there help you do it. Okay.
Yes.
Even if it's, you know, not necessarily an independent consultant or someone that you get in, just someone on the team.
Yeah.
Just someone in your organization, someone that is, you know, an arm's length away from the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily probably, you know, I was going to say have their heart, but, you know, have their heart to drive through to a solution and action is you know, and just to provide that, as I said, everyone's got, has had a unique experience in their lives, and they can bring that value to the table.
Yeah.
Okay. And just by, you know, just guiding people through, or even if you're the one that's suffering the pain, even just thinking that I need just someone to help me, just get me through this.
Yeah. A willingness to put your hand up and ask for that assistance. You know, I once heard an analogy of, you know, sometimes when, you know, life's a little bit like a washing machine. You know, you throw all your dirty shit in there and it spins around, it gets clean, gets brought out. But if you're in the washing machine doing the work, you can't see everything coming off. You're floating around in dirty water. You're just going round and round and round and round in circles.
I like that.
But if
I like that.
someone else from the outside lifts the lid and looks in the washing machine and goes, oh, all the dirt's in the water now, and now it's pumping out, I can see that these are going to be clean. You know, I can see that someone's thrown a red sock in there and now my whites are pink. But anyway, we figured out the problem. Yeah. But the white shirt that's running around the washing machine isn't going, why am I pink? Why am I pink now? So that's just another analogy, but I totally support and agree. And I think that's a good way. I think these tools can be utilized by certainly the bigger companies, but also in other cases. And like I said, like in business cases for small contracting firms, in the health industry, for the government industries. You know, we've talked about that just then. Like if you're the Queensland government deciding how can we use more renewables, you know, or why do we do this, or why don't we use more solar powers? And maybe it becomes not a viable option, and that's fine. You can solve that. And without going down that rabbit hole too much, I think if even we as participants in the world actually take the time, like if we've got a problem that we see, like you and I think renewables are a great opportunity, but we're also realists, and we've actually kind of done the 5 whys ourselves in our own head and said, well, it's not viable for us at the moment. The cost to create the renewable energies, like we could certainly work towards doing it better. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think from my experience, I think the technology's there.
Yep.
I think the appetite needs a little bit of work. The appetite, you know, and I think also just to lever on that, because it's so like where we are, like we are here and now at the moment, and to switch off a lot of the power generating resources that are currently working at the moment to supply us power, like what we're using right now. If we switch those off tomorrow, we would have chaos.
Yes. Yeah. And understanding that. And that was kind of my point there. Like we as individuals could do a simple 5 whys. So if you've got some of these skills in your tool bag and people are even posing you the question. So I like to think that, you know, if you were down the pub and you say, oh yeah, I work in the mines, or I do this, I do that. And I've said it. And yeah, someone's like, oh, we should all be renewables. We shouldn't, no more mines, no more this. If you can actually articulate a 5 whys in this process and highlight just that it would come down to absolute chaos if you turned off all that power, you're potentially helping someone else understand where we're at. And better understand the situation.
It's a communication method.
Yeah.
Like structured problem solving is a communication method. So you're presenting the problem in a standard way each time, not Dane's way or Seven's way. It is a standard way, the 5 whys way, the Syllogic way,
Yep.
the ICAM way, the
whichever way.
Whichever way, which shows that you've got structure around what you've done. And when you show that you've got structure around what you've done, confidence levels of your readers or your audience goes up as well, saying, he actually understands it. Or she, sorry,
he's
he or she
taking the time
actually
to understand the problem.
Mm-hmm. And we can see a logical progression of information that makes sense.
Yes. Certainly. Awesome. Well, I think we've talked around that one really well. I'd like to segue now into the let's keep with the word sustainable and the sustainable asset health monitoring process that machine learning can provide. You and I have had a lot of conversations lately around how the machine learning works and what other tools and implementations it can sort of work on. But what I know lately, we've covered a lot of large machinery, and the fact that for the technical people around it can consume a large volume of information at once to process and give you data analytics and give you predictive analysis of potential failure.
Or predictions of potential failure.
Predictions of potential failure.
It's all around the plant, Dane. It's all around the plant. It's not about the information, it's about the plant.
So what other scenarios have come to your mind, maybe in the lighter industry or just other industries that have come to mind where a form of machine learning, data analytics, predictive analytics could be of benefit?
From a sustainability point of view. Okay, cool. People, I like this. I'm going to have fun here. Because it's one of those things where our friends in the IT department get excited and they put all these buzzwords in there, and people get confused, like this little black duck here. Okay, and you hear this one bantered around a lot, and it's called digital twin. Okay, you hear these words a lot around digital twin. Well, okay. Right. Why in the hell would you bother building a digital twin of something in the first place? Why? I'm going back to the why thing. Why in the hell would you do it? There's got to be some value in it. What's the value proposition of actually, buying all these highly technical pieces of software, going out and learning how to do it, right, and then applying it? Why in the hell would you bother doing that, right? And like when digital twin was. And I had the same dilemma. What digital twin? Why in the hell would I know how the bloody thing operates, right? Why do I need to build another one in digital land to figure it out? The answer is to optimize something. Okay. Really simply. Now that optimization usually is around some sort of input. Okay. So again, levering off the highly industrialized analogy, okay, a boiler, okay, what does a boiler do? It makes steam and supplies something else. Cool. Okay, what's the input to a boiler? Okay, it's fuel and air. Fuel and air, righto. The air piece, essentially that's free because it comes from the atmosphere, but the fuel piece, okay, depending on what fuel it is, okay, you pay for that, or you've got to make it, or you've got to buy it. Okay. So what you can do is play essentially what if in digital twin space, okay, in digital twin space, and have the machine learning actually figure out under said situation or multiple situations, what is my optimal settings for this boiler, as an example, to minimize, i.e. use the least amount of fuel possible to achieve to achieve the output. That's why you use digital twins, is to minimize some sort of input. If we can minimize our use of CO2 producing fuels, I think we're going to start ticking the box on sustainability.
Yes,
And,
certainly.
and especially if we can't change the technology overnight, right? Okay, which we can't, like especially here in Australia, it'll be bad. As I said, it would end up being in chaos. But can we do the best to minimise the fuel inputs, the carbon producing fuel inputs? And the answer is yes. And digital twins, i.e. using machine learning to actually learn what is the most optimal set points for different variables in the boiler to achieve that minimal fuel burn, and adjusting it as those different situations occur. That's where I think machine learning will come into play, is learning where the optimal set points are on various parameters to minimize fuel inputs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome. One other space I feel that machine learning could really come into play, especially here in Australia. I know that machine learning in other countries is probably a bit more advanced and into other areas, but we know that the Silver product that we support and are powered by is also in a lot of warehouses. And I've forgotten the name, it escapes me, but where there's a large amount of robotics and conveyors and things moving around, that is automated, automated warehouses, like, with the especially following coronavirus, like a lot more people are shopping online and a lot more people are ordering things, and so they're being packaged up at warehouses and shipped around the world and sent on all over the place. These warehouses often run automatically. There's no longer people driving around with forklifts and men running around carrying the boxes and packing them up and putting them on. They're done automatively. So we know that they work really well in that space. I think that's another area that this is of benefit.
Yes, optimizing the problem of moving the boxes and minimizing your energy inputs, electricity inputs mainly, and those sort of input in sort of thing. And I would argue also, and I've already had these discussions with various people in the mining industry. Again, in Australia, we're really good at digging holes. I think there's space for this sort of technology to be applied to the mining process and minimizing the inputs into that.
Yes.
Because they certainly use a truckload of fuel, literally, like a truck turns up every day to put fuel in those,
a couple of times a day.
Those machines, a couple of times a day. They're not small trucks; they're big trucks.
No.
And using this technology, obviously, to minimise the impact, or the consumption and impact of the mining game on the environment.
And I think even I'd like to support that too, with the concept of the processing engineers. So one of the facilities I worked at had its own preparation plant, and in that preparation plant they had processing engineers that actually reviewed the process, or checked that everything was operating and running. I'm not completely aware of what other tools and processes they have or how they do that. That's in a science in its own, and a lot of them are really good at it, though I could imagine a digital twin-like setup could help you process or optimize that process, improve it, or at least if there's potential failures, help you actually understand, okay, well, if this happens, how can I reduce the effect of that? You could run the scenarios.
Yeah, the failure could mean a quality problem.
Yeah.
The output's a quality issue, right? I think that there's scope for that as well. Like in what I've seen thus far, in my journey in reliability, obviously my application of it is predicting failures in machines. Equally can be applied to predicting failures in process. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, mate.
And I think one thing that started to come to my mind in this space as well, and I always look at the little person down the line. Like I like to consider everyone and anyone. My family, when I was growing up, we actually ran our own concrete plant. We just produce concrete. It's quite a simple process. There's sand, gravel, cement, and water. It's easy. But you could make really good concrete, or you can make really shit concrete, in all honesty. And the concrete has always knew when it was a good batch and always knew when it was a bad batch just by watching it spin around in the barrel. But also working in that plant, it'd been there for 20 years. It's just ran down and so forth. The idea of putting machine learning platform in, even nowadays, is like, oh, that would be quite expensive. I'm not sure I'd have the tools and the skills to actually process it all the time. Like we were talking about before, I feel like if you were a young engineer wanting to do something different, wanting to look into a space of solving some problems, you could really support these businesses, because there are other applications, there are other pieces of hardware and that assist a Sorba platform or software like this that you could process or you could put on a small plant at an affordable price for them and manage it for them.
Yes, there's actually people already doing that where again I'm going to use the mining game. There's already companies out there that offer a service. They supply the hardware and everything like that. You just pay a monthly fee and they'll monitor your equipment using Sorba, because what they're doing is pooling. Yourself may not be able to necessarily afford a machine learning platform, because it's an investment, but there's service providers that can offer you the same level of insight and service. Because they've got access to the platform and they're basically pooling a whole heap of little people together to make it cost effective for everyone and accessible, which is awesome. And then hardware cost, you can get away with it, $1,000, even less. The IoT hardware is just getting cheaper and cheaper, and I think the more people that get into the marketplace, I think it's going to be exciting times. Like I know I was over in New Zealand, and one of the local councils, I think it was Christchurch local council, is now putting IoT devices on top of bins in parks to tell them when the bin is full. Awesome. Yes. And it's not costing them big dollars to do that, as in per the device per bin.
And even lining up with that, you and I have been in discussions with some people that deal with waste management. If we want to just highlight other areas that this kind of machine learning could be a benefit, is some waste management facilities, a lot of them have cameras and a lot of them have thermal imaging to actually notice when waste, for those that aren't aware, but when waste actually compiles, compacts and starts to break down, it creates heat. It's like a compost. You have a compost in your backyard, you let it sit there and process, and it's burning. It's energy, it's shifting, it's changing, and it's hot or it's warm. Sometimes when you've got certain materials inside, it gets a little too hot and you get spontaneous combustion. That's something you want to avoid. So
fire.
So in these waste management facilities, they'll just simply move the dirt around or put sprinklers on or do other things. So a basic machine learning setup, or sustainability asset health, because even your waste in those waste management facilities is your asset. It's there. You've got to manage it. You want to maintain it in a sustainable way. This kind of predictive notification could say, this is starting to increase in temperature at a rate which would indicate a spontaneous combustion will happen in the next half an hour. All of a sudden, someone can go there.
Yeah.
So there again, that's just another industry or another area that it could be useful, beneficial.
Awesome. So, I agree. It's very exciting times actually to be on this bandwagon. Not like it's in my corporate life, we started doing this sort of stuff, and the more I see it, it's almost daily. Like even today, I found something that was awesome that I didn't know about. And there's more and more things getting out there, and I like that. Like there's the Thingiverse, and the Internet of Things. There's there's more and more things getting out there that we can use. That be of benefit. And I think firmly, if you're not in on this or trying to wrap your head around it at least, okay, I think it's going to move that fast. If you're not in it, you're gonna risk being uncompetitive.
Yeah, and likewise, I'm very excited by it too. I feel the more time I've spent in it, and even doing these podcasts with you where we get to sort of chew the fat around it and break it down a little bit, try and articulate it and use different scenarios and examples, it helps to understand where it can be applied. And like you, I get blown away every other day at what other new thingy there is and other new bits and pieces. I also see that we don't all need to know all of those things. We don't need to be experts. There is no point in me being the expert in mechanical engineering or even mechanics, because I can undo the bolts. If I ring 7, he can tell me which bolts to undo.
That's right.
Basically how it goes.
Yeah, that happens a few times. But anyway.
It does.
And likewise, me with the electrical side of things, I ring Dane and say,
exactly.
Hey, what's going on here?
Yeah. So I think it's really good, because what I feel we're trying to present here is a broad scope and understanding with some detailed information, and enough to whet the appetite and have you understand where it can benefit, and understand if it's of use to you, that you can actually dive a little deeper. You can give us a call, you can call your local engineering mob, you can talk to your other team members. If you're in production, you might talk to your reliability engineers and say, have you heard about this and how could that help us? And we hopefully just try and tie it all in with options.
And I think a lot, this has been my experience, is that a lot of people talk a lot of jargon, and I've been confused. And my advice is, like, if they hit you with a word or a phrase that you go, what does that mean? Yeah. In your mind's eye, I didn't get that. Well, ask, what does that mean? What are you talking about there? Because I've had to do it on numerous occasions, because there's, it's changing as we've talked about almost constantly, like that, almost day by day. Sometimes the analogy that I use, right, is I draw this picture. Where does the ones and zeros go? Right? Because they'll talk about clouds and edges and all this sort of stuff. And, so really, sorry, I've got the wrong pencil. You've got a sensor, right? That, I'll just put my fire here. So we've got a fire, because we're talking about fires. We've got a sensor that measures the temperature of that fire, okay? Yeah. And it usually comes out as some sort of electrical signal. That gets converted into zeros and ones,
Yeah.
Okay, and then transmitted somewhere.
Yeah.
So follow the ones and zeros. So the ones and zeros mean, that might be 730 degrees in C. That's what those ones and zeros mean. So those ones and zeros have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do they go? Tell me where my ones and zeros go. And I've done that before, like in my mind's eye. I say, right, where's the ones and zeros going? Well, okay. Well, it goes to this thing here, and then it hops across to this thing here, and then it ends up in this database on my computer. Okay. Yeah. And this might be an edge device, and this might be the cloud. Yeah. And then I download it from the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay. But my ones and zeros have gone through each of these transmission paths or streams or methods or however words you want to do it. But there's another little, I've had to do that. Like I've had to go, where's the ones and zeros going?
Where's the ones? Yeah. I like that. I really like that because, for me, it's a good, thought process. Just where does it go? What actually sort of happens with it? Where's the information go?
Where's it actually go? It's because, if that's 730 degrees, that's the physical temperature. If I, measured it with some sort of alternative device, this thing's measuring 730 degrees. It gets converted into ones and zeros. My ones and zeros have to end up in front of me somewhere.
Yeah.
Where does it go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible,
awesome.
Isn't it?
Well, I feel like we've covered a good bit of ground. As always, we get deep in conversation about things, but we covered off on the problem solving and just some of the areas, even from the fact of government, from small business, and even just doing a business case study, like a business review. Having a set framework for less root cause analysis or problem solving. Like if you're not performing well in the business, you want to understand why.
Why? Yeah.
If you're not using the right resources, we want to understand why. And so we covered off that. I think we covered some really good ground on that. If anyone has any other questions about that, certainly reach out. Likewise with this asset health management, asset health sustainability. We sort of touched on the fact that this is useful in many different areas, from waste management to the small concreting plant to optimizing the production process, optimizing the output process, the digital twin concept. And that was a really good explanation, Seven, too. Thank you, of where digital twin can be beneficial, because I'm sure like you were and like I was, every time someone mentioned it, I'm just like, what? Where's those ones and zeros go? What's that mean? I don't understand.
Where's the one? Yeah, where do they go? Yeah, exactly. Where does the ones and zeros go?
So, I think we've done a really good way of sort of covering off that, and I really hope that for everyone else out there, this has been of benefit, and just seeing how these tools may benefit you, your friends, your business partners, anyone else in any other space, or just even understanding maybe a little bit more of why it's important to your business if you're using them, or how it could be a benefit to your business if you're not using them. So I thank you all. I thank you, Seven. If you
thank you.
Have any questions, certainly reach out, write us a review, subscribe, hit the like button, do what you usually do on these things. We love your feedback. We certainly like to respond and check out what you think. If you think of something that you would like us to talk about, you'd like to hear our views and opinions on something, and they're literally just that, they're just our views and opinions. We're happy to share. Likewise, if you have a contra review and you want to talk about it, stick your hand up. We'll have you on and we can happily talk about it and discuss. But in the coming weeks, we're going to have a couple of guests on, which will be quite exciting.
Yes, looking forward to this.
And I hope they can handle my lack of preparation, because that's not I might rephrase that. I hope they can like my authentic guidance.
Authentic guidance.
Conversation.
I had to tell. I actually had to tell one of them. It's not about what. No, what did I say? What questions you don't want to be asked.
Yes.
It's not
yes.
what we're going to ask. It's what you don't want to be
what
asked.
you don't
You're
want to be
gonna
asked. Just be clear on what you don't want to talk about.
Yeah, and
we'll avoid
everything
that.
else is free game.
Yes. So, thank you all. I hope you've had a good time. Again, if you have any questions, queries, let us know. We'll chat soon.